429 C Street. This is the March 7th meeting. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. We will do the invocation. That's Bishop John Smith.
Yes.
And then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance after.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for your goodness, your mercy, your kindness. We thank you for this meeting that is being conducted. Father, we pray, Lord, that you would touch every city official, every police chief, fire chief, Lord, our mayor, touch those that are in city workers. We ask, Lord, that you just continue to guide us, give us the understanding that you would have for us, and please help us as we begin to conduct the business of this town. Father, we thank you. We give you praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Christie?
Evening, council. And we'll now do roll call. Mayor Matthews.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gornick.
Here.
City Council Member Orth.
Here.
City Council Member Lyons.
Here.
Thank you.
Agenda approval, additions and or deletions. We'll move into our study session, SS-1, Bird Rides, Inc.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Is he on? So this evening we have Mike Butler from Bird Rides Incorporated. It's the scooters you can kind of pay to use that are strategically located through town. So he's going to have a brief presentation and then he'll be available to answer any questions council may have. So with that, we'll get it to Mike.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. As mentioned just now, my name is Mike Butler. I run our city partnerships team in California, and I'll take some time, about 5 or 7 minutes, and go through a brief presentation about our business, what we do, what the service would look like in the Lemoore community, and then open it up for some questions after that. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Okay, can everybody see this all right?
No, hasn't come through yet. There might be a delay.
Okay. I'll give that just a second. Are we up yet or still can't see it?
No,
Nope.
not yet.
Okay.
Do you have a plan B?
I can send this off to someone if someone would like to present it.
You got 5 minutes.
Clock is ticking.
They're working on it over there.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Is that it?
Well,
We see you.
There you go.
There.
How about now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, great. I think before I talk about kind of what we do, I think it's always important to talk about our North Star. You know, why did we start this business? Why did we do what we do? And it really is with the goal in mind of improving our communities and, of course, improving the lives of the people within those communities. Now, we do that by being a transportation company. We're a shared mobility company. The term micromobility is also a word that is used for this industry. And really it is our goal as a business is to help people get from A to B by way of these shared electric vehicles. And our story is one that started in 2017. We saw a ton of success in the early days as the first company in the world to introduce this concept. We started in California and in the west side of Los Angeles with one market. And today that number has grown to hundreds and hundreds of cities. That includes 5 continents, a couple dozen countries. And that number 165 million, well, that's 165 million times that someone, a resident, a visitor to a city has trusted our service to help them to get from A to B. which is why we are widely seen as the most trusted provider of this, not just in the whole country, but likely in the entire world. And these are cities of all shapes and sizes. I think it's likely that if you've seen this service, you've probably seen it done in some larger metropolitan areas, likely because those are areas that maybe you're traveling to. So if you could think of places like San Jose, you could think of places like Bakersfield, you could think of places like Los Angeles or Seattle. I don't think a lot of people think about Marina, California, or Anderson, California, or Windsor, California. But those are all programs that we have set up in partnership with the city. And I think this is something to where the service can work in a lot of different areas. It's not just for dense urban areas. And we've proven that by some of these other markets that we've worked in. Now, if you're not familiar with the service, that's fine. It's all phone, it's all app based. So how a user would find the service or use the service is these vehicles would be strategically placed throughout the city, strategically placed in areas that was approved by the city. A user would download our application, sign an agreement, verify that they were above the age of 18. They'd have to go through a series of educational videos and a suite of tutorials so they know how to ride, they know what to do, they know how to park, and they have an acknowledgement of laws that are local to the city. And then they use this the same way they would if someone had a personal bicycle on the street or they had a personal scooter of theirs. They'd use it on the street, and then when they were done, they would park it on the sidewalk. Pricing is pretty standard. So to unlock the vehicle, which remains locked at all times without a Bluetooth enabled lock, to do that is $1. And then there's a per minute fee after that, usually around 30 cents. So an average ride sits at around $6 or $7 per ride. And we also have some equitable pricing options. So we have discounts available if you're enrolled in a government assistance program, or you're a veteran or a senior citizen, or students with a type of Pell Grant. Our goal is to make this a democratized service, not just for a certain segment of the population, but really for everyone. Now, this was an important piece. I think this is a really important piece in every city that we work with. But over the years, we've had to develop some really sophisticated technology to ensure that our vehicles act in a certain way if they enter a certain location. So I can think about really sensitive, sophisticated cities. I could think about New York City. I could think about Rome, Italy. I could think about the city of Los Angeles, where the regulations to operate in markets like that is the size of a dictionary. And what's required of the operator is so extensive. And we've had to prove in our technology that says if a vehicle enters a certain zone, well, it has to follow a certain rule set, meaning that that vehicle will either slow down to a certain speed or will actually just stop entirely. And that is something that is going to be elastic. It's something that we can program really on a daily basis based on feedback from city staff or from businesses or from local community groups. So this is something that we would work with the city, as we do with every city, on these parameters. Safety is a really important piece here. I think that outside of working with cities, I think safety and making sure that the safety of our ridership is as important as can be. And what you're seeing here is essentially the ratio of documented medical rates or incident rates, but compared between a bird rider, between someone using our service and, let's say, a bicycle or a car or a motorcycle. So you can see here that graphic on the right is essentially saying that there's parity between those incidents between a bicycle or between a bicyclist and someone riding one of our vehicles, which is why I think that oftentimes there's a lot of headlines, a lot of news articles around this type of service, but the reality of it is that this is just as safe as riding a bike. Of course, there's
I have a question. So
Yeah.
Do you have this information broken down by population of cities?
What do you mean by that?
Well, we're a city of about 25,000 people, a little over 25,000. Yeah, I'm sure you have cities, 1 million, 500,000. Is it broken down, your incidents broken down by population size? Or is it
So
one size fits all?
Yeah, so I would say that the likelihood of an accident is probably greater in cities of larger populations. That probably has to do with increased ridership and increased interaction with motor vehicles. That's speculation. I can say that I have a number of markets that have stood up programs like this for 12, 24, 36 months. And a lot of them have had zero medical rates or zero medical incidents.
Okay, you've answered the question. Thanks.
Okay. And then the last piece here, I think this is something that's really important to a lot of cities, is having access to data of where your residents, where your visitors are going. This is otherwise unobtainable data, meaning that you can't follow people on their own personal bikes or personal scooters or walking around. And so what this dashboard does is this is something that any member of city staff or even a council member could actually log into and have an understanding of what is the overall, what are the insights of this program. So, where are people riding? How many are riding? How many vehicles are out there? And I've seen a lot of cities use this data to influence projects in terms of added infrastructure, of adjusting infrastructure when it comes to bike lanes. If it's very obvious that people are ending their rides in certain areas, well, maybe it makes sense to stand up a certain corral for shared mobility or bike racks or things of that nature. So this is all something that's free to you all. You can use this as often or as little as you want. But that is it. I will stop talking and I will open it up to some questions.
Thank you. Does any of the council have questions? I'll open it up to the public. Does anybody from the public have any questions on the presentation? Go ahead.
You're very kind. Hello, council members. Alex Walker, Lemoore. I had a question to our presenter, and then I also had some general comments to council. To our presenter, I was just curious with the details of these scooters, like what are the weight limits, like what are the speeds, like if I were to be a user of this bike, like what's the information I should know about the bike?
Yeah, so it is a stand-up scooter. I should mention that it is not a sit-down bicycle. The vehicle has a top speed of about 16 miles an hour. That can be adjusted based on the location. So if certain areas you'd like to geo speed that to a lower speed to maybe 10 miles an hour, you can do that. And then when it comes to weight limits, what I would say is that if there's an individual of let's say a higher weight class going up a particular grade, you may have a harder time reaching your destination if that's the case. But I'm not kidding when I've seen Shaquille O'Neal use this, and I'm certain not a single person here is as big as Shaquille O'Neal. So that is reassuring in some fashion. I hope so.
Thank you. I appreciate your answer. And then to council, I think this can be a really great project for Lemoore. I would love to see how it can actually improve our bike lanes and how people move around the city. I could say personally, driving around the city, especially near the apartment areas on Hanford and Mona Road, I see people constantly carrying bags of groceries and walking back and forth from Save Mart and that shopping area back to their apartments. So I think it could make a great convenience for some of our residents. Again, I know there's safety concerns and things like that, but I would love to see how we would improve bike lanes and providing bike racks and other types of infrastructure that can help further support this project if we were to use it and continue to use it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Reed?
Tom Reed, Parr Avenue, Lemoore. My questions are, how many units would we have in a town the size of Lemoore? Where would they be located? Is there some method whereby at the end of the day that someone rearranges the distribution so you were where you started the day in case there's a lot of activity one direction not coming back? I think that about does it.
Yeah. So we would likely start out with about 50 vehicles. That's pretty much the floor of the fleet size. And then from there, we're constantly looking at demand and understanding if it makes sense to actually add vehicles into the market. We would only do so if ridership was so high, demand was so high, and staff and city staff had greenlit that. The location is, you're absolutely right. So the way that we run operations is actually by way of someone that would be a local entrepreneur or business, someone that maybe is running a somewhat comparable business in Lemoore, who has the infrastructure, who has the staff time, who has the labor, who has some mechanical savviness, and they would be the ones responsible for placing the vehicles in the right location, charging them, repairing them, servicing them, ultimately making sure that they're in good standing. And this is someone who's a local. I think like everyone in the room, they want their streets to be clean. They want their streets to be tidy. And so I think they tend to take and have a lot of community pride in this.
His question about if somebody will redistribute them at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're doing that all day, every day. So it's kind of a revolving door of certain tasks. You can probably imagine that maybe someone is using these in certain areas on Hill or on D Street, for example, and then wants to take it to the outskirts of town because that's where they live. Well, it actually benefits the fleet manager to locate those vehicles because they'll have an app of their on their own that shows exactly where the vehicles are, and move it back to high popular, high demand locations. They share the revenue with us, so they get to make money when we make money. They make money when people are using the vehicles. So it always benefits them to continue to be rebalancing or redistributing throughout the day, not just at the end of the day.
So who is the fleet manager? Is that someone provided by the city, or is that someone provided by Bird?
That's something that's always going to be done on our end. We have a team of folks that go out there and actually do some local research, interview, speak with individuals, and try to find someone who we feel like is the best business in this kind of business to business relationship, as they tend to be a very important piece of this puzzle. We have not found that person yet. We're still waiting for city to grant us approval. So we don't want to get someone really excited about this, and then it turns out, the city says no, thank you.
Okay.
Good question, Patty.
Right. Oh,
So,
I actually,
the
there
one
was,
more.
I
Go
think
ahead.
I saw Jennifer Sleece had her hand up. Did she have a question?
I think I asked her a question.
Oh.
Because I saw her hand go down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Stuart asked my question. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Go ahead,
Stuart,
Mr.
you want to
Gordon.
answer my question? No, I just kidding.
Well, I'm pretty sure I know the question. You're going to ask how broadband can come into play with Bird's.
That's right. Are we giving up our privacy by locating your vehicle? What I wanted to ask was, you said we'd have 50 bikes. Right. And you said you could adjust the speeds on those bikes.
Yep.
So how about all the bikes that we have in town that, they buy them at Costco or wherever? What's the limit on those? What's the speeds on those? How fast can you go on yours?
I think mine goes like 20.
You lie.
Or
You go
30?
faster than that, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I think I jailbroke it and it goes a little bit faster or something. I don't know.
So yours would be the only ones that we would be able to control speeds on, right? Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. My other concern has to do more with safety as well. These are designed for the streets, but I see many of them on the using the sidewalks. Or some of them are on the streets because we don't have sidewalks. And we have streets that don't have lights, And a lot of these young kids like to wear everything dark at night when they're on.
I think his scooters, they have headlights on them and taillights on them, I think.
Yeah, I know, but
They're
makes
pretty,
it-
they're pretty bright.
They
Yeah.
are. And if I could speak to the,
yeah, I'm talking about the ones that I see that aren't these guys.
Oh.
They're,
Well, he don't have
Yeah.
no control of those ones.
yeah.
their product has I
That's
think
my
it's
point,
called a geofence. So you could actually,
You can
they could-
restrict where to go.
yeah, so maybe if there's
So we can restrict them to stay off of the streets that don't have streetlights.
Yeah.
potentially,
Yes.
or even the sidewalk, it's so finite that if you say you can't ride on the sidewalk here, it knows exactly where that boundary is and you cannot ride on the sidewalk there. Or If it's an area that you want to slow the speed down, it'll automatically slow the speed. It's pretty cool little app that they have and how accurate they can be for different areas. So there's a lot of control in these that we don't have over scooters like Councilmember Lyons, who can run amok. These, you don't really get to do that.
Good. Okay, thank you.
And they're cool. Nathan, Patty and I rode them at
Long Beach.
Long Beach last year.
It was an experience.
It was very much an experience, especially when we went down a road that obviously was geo-fenced where we weren't supposed to go down, and turned them off, and we had to push them up a hill. So kind
We
of,
didn't know because we were downhill.
yeah,
But if you're paying attention, the app will notify you.
yes.
But when it's in your back pocket, you can't hear it.
Mike, do your
So-
scooters have like a thing to hold a phone or a tablet so you can see, or no?
It does not. I completely understand that frustration. I think that's really tough, especially when you're visiting a city. And I will say that the city of Long Beach and that experience has, in my opinion, gone overboard in terms of restricting a lot of those areas. Most cities don't enact that, the degree of that many restrictions, meaning that there's not a ton of variance going from street to street. And in those cases, I think it can make a really confusing rider experience, and it tends to throw people off. But in this case, I think we could all agree on certain areas where vehicles like this should not be allowed, and then kind of make some adjustments on the fly. But no, we don't have it to where you have your phone resting on there.
It was fun though, Mike. We had a great time. We all laughed,
I'm glad.
and we got a little exercise out of it too.
Oh, quite a bit, actually. And I
It
have a
was
lot
fun.
of blisters from that too. From all the walking uphill. Jennifer, I see you have your hand raised. Did you?
Yes. Thank you for coming back to me. Sorry, as you guys were talking about your Long Beach trip, it just kind of triggered a question of, and sorry, Jennifer Solis, 757 Redwood Lane. It triggered the question of, I was thinking that these would stop kind of like those carts at the end of like a Target ramp or whatever, like you couldn't actually roll them somewhere if they went outside the area you weren't supposed to be. So am I understanding right that you can still roll them somewhere? And then that brings up the second question of, can they be hacked to like be stolen and overridden in the technology, or how often has that happened? Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to meet you. Yeah, so they can actually be rolled. The reason for that is really just a safety measure. We don't want a vehicle to, let's say for some reason, there's some not so great cellular network activity or reception there. And so we don't want that vehicle to all of a sudden just stop in the middle of the road. We want that rider to be able to say, oh, well, for some reason there's some malfunction happening, but I at least can actually roll this vehicle. It's not completely locked on me. I think on the hacking piece of this, I think you'd have to be pretty knowledgeable of these vehicles to in some way, jailbreak them or to do something like that. I think theft is a factor in our business, as is something that where you're hosting any or managing any assets in a particular city. But it has not become such an issue to where we've ever had to leave a particular market.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
No, thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everyone.
Right, moving on, we'll move into public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. This time is reserved for members of the audience to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. The public will have an opportunity to comment on items on the agenda once the item has been called and the mayor opens the item to the public. Is there any public comment? Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. from a long time ago, we had a study session. I have one more thought that I wanted to share on that. So I think I also want to encourage maybe considering placing these scooters at near West Hills to help our student community be able to reach different stores in downtown and stuff like that during their time between classes. Outside of that, I did want to comment on behalf of Lemoore Rotary. Last week was Read Across America. It was something I got to proudly participate in. And it was really refreshing to be able to read to students with a paper book and be able to donate those books to the library. We read across a variety of different local schools, not just in the Lemoore area, but in the Lemoore vicinity. So there's Meadow Lane, Cinnamon, MIQ, and then other schools in the area that we also read to. So we're very happy to be able to participate and Read Across America. We know that other Lemoore community organizations also participated in that. And we're just really proud to promote literacy, because literacy is something that's of great concern in Kings County and something that we're very passionate about as an organization. If y'all have any questions regarding our project in Read Across America, as well as the Lemoore Literacy Project, please let me know. Regardless, I will yield my time.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment?
Good evening, council. So the city clerk received
There you go.
two.
Can you
the
pull
mic,
the
Christie?
microphone down towards you?
Goodness.
He's a little bit taller.
The city clerk received two emails for public comment. The first email was received on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 at 3:41 p.m. It was sent from Nicholas Allen. And it will read, "To whom it may concern, I hope this letter finds you well, and thank you for taking the time to read this. My name is Nick Allen. I've been a resident of Lemoore for over 30 years. In those 30 years, I consistently hear the gripe of Lemoore is boring. There's never anything to do. For the longest time, I agreed. Yes, there are events occasionally, but rarely any local businesses that actively brings the community together. Bird Street was that place, an escape from the day-to-day grind of working, coming home, making dinner, only to wash and repeat. Phil and Roslyn gave us a space for many of us to come together and bond, not get drunk and silly, but to truly interact with one another and learn more about the fellow man and women. Since Bird Street opened its doors, I've met many new faces and formed some strong friendships. I look forward to going downtown on Thursday evening to hang out and unwind. It was always a pleasure to see what conversations pop up while chatting and listening to music. Bird Street brought local blue collar workers, farmers, and Navy personnel together, as well as people from out of town who have heard about this amazing brewery and brewmaster. Bird Street was a home away from home, so to speak. I've known Phil since 2001, and I can say with 100% certainty, he's a very responsible man and not one to let bills or payments slip through the cracks. I'm sure there was a simple reasoning as to why his business license payment was misplaced, but I am unsure as to why there's no accountability on the city and city manager's behalf. If a check was simply misplaced or lost, what's the harm in owning up to that and being transparent? A statement to the nature of "we can't confirm if the payment was or was not received" sounds like a vague cop-out and leaves the problem in the business owner's hands. We all know this issue isn't about the money. I'm 100% certain any one of us regulars would pick up that $25 tab for the lost check immediately. This is about principles, and it is evident that the city is falling short on the situation. How can we expect more small and local businesses to want to come to our town when there's stories like these, among others that don't need to be addressed in this letter? I personally want to pursue a small local business, but I'm horrified of taking out a business loan to start, only to have the city of Lemoore's management to be my demise. Lemoore has always been big on community, but if you allow Bird Street to walk away from this town, you are effectively knocking down a pillar of the community. I implore you all to put your heads together and find solution that will benefit the community. This isn't just some dive bar. This is an institution that you should be enthralled and that want to operate and bring revenue to this city. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Nick Allen. And I don't have his address, just his email address.
Thank you.
And there was a second email sent to the city clerk from a Michael Cornell on March 7th, 2023 at 3:42 p.m. Michael Cornell, 236 East D Street, Lemoore, California, 93245. Dear Lemoore City Council, my name is Michael Cornell and I live right here in Lemoore. I have lived here for over 26 years and made my home here while serving in the U.S. Navy. I have since retired from the military service and now work in the law enforcement community. I am writing this letter today after many years of being upset with the way I see the direction of the city moving. Sadly, the city of Lemoore has been notorious for many years of being a bad place for mom and pop businesses to come and do business. If you are a major gas company, some type of fast food chain, or even a marijuana selling business, you have made these companies feel more welcome here in our city to much of the people's displeasure. I know you are already aware of this from previous city council meetings. However, the sad fact is that the city council and city manager seem to feed off the negativity somehow. Why do I say that? Because nothing has been done for years to rectify this. However, when it comes to bringing high dollar marijuana selling businesses to I think it's supposed to be downtown, you will do backflips to please them and ruin the downtown motif you said you were going to keep at all costs. Now look how dumb it looks with the Natural Healing Center right here in the middle, all lit up. So sad that you're making doing business for families so difficult. We can name so many businesses that have come and gone. Now we have on our hands the possibility of saving a handful of businesses before they completely leave or fail. Please give your help to small businesses like Bird Street Brewing, who has done so much for the community. They are a business that have been here for quite a few years and have done great things. Do not let them leave our town. Please help our family. Please help out the family that closed Simply Mediterranean so suddenly and help them to stay in business. I will be so upset if we lose these two businesses for good. I'm even betting that if these two businesses are allowed to fail, that we will see multiple small businesses in town close up in the fallout. Please do whatever you can to help them to survive and continue serving our community. We need these businesses in a very bad way right now. I very much hope that my concerns will be heard in positivity and the change and direction will happen to help support Bird Street Brewing and Simply Mediterranean. Please focus your attention on these smaller businesses rather than the big fast food chain restaurants and truck stops you envision in our small town. These are the types of businesses that are not needed by the people in the community unless your future vision of Lemoore is just a quick stop off the highway to fill up your vehicle, use the restroom and grab a coffee and a sandwich. This town we live in, this is a town that we live in. Let's support small businesses here and the vision we used to have as a beautiful small town. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope this does not fall on deaf ears or ears that can only hear cash registers ringing. Thank you for your time. Very respectfully, Michael Cornell, Lemoore resident.
Thank you.
I think that's the most I've talked in a whole year.
It's probably accurate. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Moving on to, oh, sorry, I can't see you anymore, so go ahead.
Hello again, Mayor and Council, Jennifer Solis, Redwood Lane. I just wanted to speak an opposing view of the two comments that were just talked about Bird Street Brewing. Just for those listening or just for those knowing what I've learned about the city. And then Nathan can correct me if I'm wrong. I've lived in the city since 2003. There's been more new businesses opened in the last few years than there has in the last 2 decades. I think it would be great if the city could put together that information to show, you know, how many have opened, how many have stayed, versus how many have closed or something, because you can see it. Secondly, I definitely don't want Bird Street to leave. I just know we can't, the city can't be bullied. And when I look at how much effort has been put in by the city council and the city manager and the city staff to help businesses. It blows my mind when I see complaints like this, because if they were in Fresno, they would not be getting the attention of the city manager on their personal cell phone or being reached out by multiple city council members, things like that. I know that there are hurts that have happened in the past that have been expressed. And I just do hope that a resolution can be sought after. I just wanted to defend on the city side that the city is open to any business. That has not always been the case. There was just a previous council that just had a different focus, wanting it to be more of a bedroom town, not, not bad, just saying, not allowing certain businesses for that reason. And it's my understanding that the city of Lemoore allows any business that wants to come, and shows, we show the Kmart building. You guys go to conferences to, attract different businesses. And so it's not that nothing is being done. And so I just wanted to speak on behalf of the information that I've learned. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. Moving to ceremonial presentations, seeing none. Department and city manager reports.
Good evening, again, Mayor and council members. First up tonight is Mr. Frank Rivera.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just want to let you know, we have another storm coming this week. The last rain event brought about 3 inches of rain in about a day and a half. We had about 10 guys that were splitting shifts for that weekend. We've up to date, we probably have handed out about 2,000 sandbags, 30 cubic yards of sand, which is at our stockpile. So this weekend, we're planning about maybe 2 inches of rain is what I last heard. So again, we're pumping down a few basins currently, and we're going to do our best to keep our trouble spots under control.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Frank, on the 19th Street overpass.
Yes.
That's our responsibility, the roads going over that?
The bridge part. So whatever's probably concrete is Caltrans, and then the asphalt is normally ours.
Yeah,
Yes.
I noticed that's really gotten a lot of wear and tear, the south approaching ramp.
But on the ramp itself,
Yeah,
yeah, that's Caltrans.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, Chief Kendall.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I have a couple of things to put out. I had a Police Academy Advisory Board meeting today. For the second year in a row, the Academy will not be able to run an extended Academy class. There were less than 20 applicants, which meant the cost to run an Academy class would have not been recovered. In their current intensive class, which started last month, 52 cadets started the class. 31 cadets are already affiliated or being sponsored through the course. 5 voluntarily withdrew and 1 failed out during the first week. This leaves us with 15 cadets to recruit from that are eligible for hire. But with that being said, I have interviews tomorrow to fill our only current vacancy for a full-time police officer from our reserve pool. Once hired, this will leave us with 3 reserve officers in our pool. Next up, our Citizens Academy graduated last Wednesday. This was the first Citizens Academy since 2019 due to COVID. We had 11 start the program, 9 graduated, and those that graduated this program are now eligible to apply to join the volunteers in policing. And lastly, our annual report is done. It has been put up on our website, and I will be bringing that to you during a study session at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. A couple things out of my office. So last week, attended the ICSC over in Monterey with Christy Bailey and Mayor Matthews. So good meeting, smaller, more intimate. Got to meet a lot of developers. We have some developers want to come through and take a look at our downtown, give us some ideas. Met with multiple restaurants, and just all in all, I thought it was a pretty good visit. I'm sure the mayor will touch base on that during her report, so I won't talk too much about that one. last Wednesday, Ashley Swearingen, she's heading up the Community Economic Resilience Fund. That's that grant coming out I talked about. Maybe we can do something with Kmart on a joint venture, potentially with KCAO and the Kings County EDC. So Julieta was up there from the EDC representing Kings County. I had a follow-up meeting because I was in Monterey, but I met with Sam Williford on Monday. So we're definitely going to have a voice at the table. The first round of funding, they're expecting municipalities our size to get somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 and for programming and planning money. So those are going to be ongoing, and then project funding is probably a year out still. So that's an ongoing project. We met with Mavericks today. That's the truck stop coming in. We set out all their timelines. We're in the middle of sequel right now, but we're expecting to bring their project to council for first reading and approvals on June 6th.
Where's the location?
It's going to be on 19th and Iona. So the southeast corner across from the salvage yard. And then Dwight Young has also submitted his application to open a barbecue at the corner of Fox and D, which would be the old Pad Thai building. So we're going through those process and approvals. And I think.
Question on Mavericks.
Mhm.
What are you gonna do about street lighting on Iona?
They have to redo the roads in front of that, put curb gutter and do road improvements. So that section of the road will be lit up. It'll be part of the project. And let's see. I believe that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to consent calendar, section 3, items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member or member of the public requests individual consideration. We have 3-1, approval of minutes, regular meeting, February 21st, 2023. 3-2, approval, notice of completion, CIP 5013, Bush Street overlay. 3-3, approval agreement between the city of Lemoore and Granicus for a citizen engagement platform. 3-4, approval budget amendment, addition of CIP for North Lemoore wastewater infrastructure. 3-5, approval resolution 2023-05 and lease agreement between the city of Lemoore and Enterprise Fleet Management for 5 police vehicles. Would anyone from council? Does anyone from council want to pull any of those items?
I'd like to pull 3-5.
3-5. Anything else?
I want to take a look at that Granicus, yeah,
You want to pull that item?
please.
3-3 has been pulled. Anything else? See nothing from council. Would a member of the public like to pull any items?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to respectfully second that 3-3 be pulled. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we have 3-3 pulled and 3-5 pulled. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar other than those? that have been
Motion to
pulled?
approve 3-1, 3-2,
Second.
3-4.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lyons and a second by Councilmember Gornick. Councilmember Lyons,
Aye.
Councilmember Gornick.
Aye.
Councilmember Orth,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. So 3-3. The Granicus, did you have specific questions?
Yeah, the cost of the general fund. You listed it as a con. And I guess, how do we judge a return on investment on this? And I go back to the strategic planning initiative. We talked about marketing and how this, are we getting a cart before the horse, or, are we just whack-a-mole on things, in terms of, oh, let's get another platform. So that means we don't rely on Facebook. We don't rely on some of the other stuff. I don't know.
This was part of the strategic goals and initiatives, and community engagement and getting the word out was one of the top priorities that council gave staff direction for.
It was.
So
But it was also part of our strategic plan that we develop a marketing plan for the city that included these kinds of things.
Yeah, so council did on a previous date approve the contracts for retail strategies. So they're out doing retail recruitment for us and helping us with those plans and help us to betterment our city. So we have a couple things working simultaneously together. We've talked to some other individuals, but we haven't brought contracts forward for additional services yet.
Well, I don't see, that's why I disagree. I think it's parallel. I don't think it's simultaneous. And that's the difference. In terms of the good news that we're working with an outfit that's going to bring more business development to the city is good. But outside of coming to one of these meetings, or if you're on the website, or if it happens to get put into Facebook, the general public doesn't know about that. We don't post it on a website. We don't advertise it that it's part of our general marketing plan. Okay, that's my point.
Okay. Well, we're hoping that this platform, so we have it'll be the first 90 days. We'll start developing those platforms. We'll start pushing that information out to the public. Now we will start putting stuff on Facebook and our Instagram accounts, which we post some of those things now. Residents with this platform we saw last time can sign up, and we do need to start like an EDC portion of our website. So staff has internally talked about that. We haven't gotten there yet.
Well, but hope is not a strategy. Okay.
Didn't say hope, said we're working on it.
Oh, you said we hope we're going to do this. So
What I meant was, yes, it's in the pipeline, Councilmember Gornick.
Well, we're talking about what, $14,000, $15,000, $16,000 here.
At Granicus is 26, I think the first year, and then it's 16 year 2 and 17 year year 3.
So, we've talked about a lot of positions here.
Mhm.
We give mass raises to everybody. We increase the personnel steps. Have we had any discussions about what a marketing person can do for the city in terms of coordinating some of this stuff?
So right now, we have, but to go out and hire a marketing division, we're trying to do it using consultants and outside resources that are bringing house. Now, if council's direction is to come back with numbers to start a marketing and our economic development division, we can do that. And I actually had a conversation last week about maybe bringing in some outside EDC help that if it were to work, we could possibly fund it in year 1, but make it a self-funded program via grants through years 2 through out, which is pretty common in a lot of EDCs throughout the state. So that conversation was had with an individual last week, but I'm not ready to bring that conversation to council quite yet.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? For Granicus? We'll open it up to public. Anyone from the public? You have something?
Jennifer
Go ahead.
Solis again. I had a similar line of thought as Councilmember Gornick. Was that it was cool that we're getting, it seems like better technology. Like I watched the video, from February 7th. I was just wondering, like, who's going to, did they answer the question? Like, who's going to man it? Because the city has an email program that I'm aware of. The city has a text program through Parks and Recs. The city has the social media, the ways to communicate. So I totally agree with adding technology. I get the point of it, but then I'm like, who's going to staff it? How is it going to work? Who's going to have the answers? Who's going to be in charge of responding? And if it's not happening now, how is it going to happen? Those type of questions. Thank you.
Okay, so with the platform at Granicus, there's a lot of things we can do as far as like when it comes to refuse. We can initially, when we set this up, put down in all the holidays into our calendar, which the city manager's office will be responsible for the city calendar updates. But what it'll do is if you subscribe to say refuse, we can set it up to send out a notice every Friday that says, hey, your trash day, whatever your trash day is, we could send you out a notice. We can let you know if it's your green can or your blue can. We can also set up notices one time that for prior to holidays, if a holiday falls on a Monday, this will be your refuse service. If it falls on a Friday, this will be your service. We set that up one time, and then we set timers or reminders within the system. So every holiday they will go out and they'll be pushed out automatically. So we're not having to manage the same type of data and inputs over and over. I do agree with you. We haven't been as robust as we need to be on some of the platforms we have. We're pretty good at our Facebook pages. Our city website has a little bit left to be desired, but to revamp the full website, you're looking 35,000. And I think Granicus is a good bridge to take the data that people want out of our website, because a lot of our forms and our ordinances and all that stuff are there that people want to subscribe to. They can pull out of that. So this to me kind of helps bridge the gap too on our website and get more information out to the public.
I guess, the more you talk, the more questions I have.
Okay.
So how does this integrate with our, the $2 million that we spent on our financial package and information system that we have?
It doesn't at this point. The financial package is completely.
But our financial package, it has billing and people can pay online. Correct?
Yes, it does. But
Okay.
But we can put word out on that with Granicus as it comes, but Granicus isn't going to tie into the city's
But that's my
financials.
point. If those functions were tied together in a website and we allocated expenses to do those things, you keep saying, we're going to do this, we're going to post this. Who is the individual? It's not you. I know you're going to delegate this.
Well, maybe I misunderstood. So once we do get Tyler Tech up and running, residents will be able to go on our sites and they will be able to log in. They will be able to see their bills and we will be able to do online bill payment. I'll pass it over to Michelle.
I just want to provide some.
Hold on a second. So my understanding is it's almost up and running. You went through some ledger stuff in January or February of this year, testing on Tyler, right?
So we won't go live with Tyler Tech and the financials until July 1. We also
But at least some of the stuff I read, you did some testing.
We have been training in Tyler Tech and setting up the background for Tyler Tech for over 12 months now. It's a very long and cumbersome process.
I understand that. I've gone through a couple of them, but you did say you did go through some testing, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
But I just want to provide clarification on the kind of data that's being tied to Tyler Tech, because that's very different than what the discussion is about this evening. So eventually, when we're fully implemented, which if you'll recall, when we brought the contract, that's like a 4-year implementation process. There is going to be a citizen self-service portal so that anything that lives in Tyler Tech, so basically anything that's tied to the financials, your utility billing statements, any payments people make for registrations for parks and rec programs, any building permits or inspection fees, anything that has a monetary value that's tied to the system, an individual can set up their own account and go and grab it. But what it isn't is a way for the city to push out information about programs or services or about an event that we're having downtown. So I just want to make sure that the expectation of council is not that Tyler's going to do that, because that's not what that platform is.
No, it was not my expectation.
Okay.
But a website that is developed, that is aligned with the services that we provide electronically would be very helpful to the population.
I guess.
Notifications, you can pay online, go to this link.
Yes, but that's very separate than Tyler Tech.
Separate,
Yes.
exactly.
I just want to make sure we understood what Tyler Tech
Yeah.
was doing. Okay. Any other questions about Tyler Tech before I don't?
No.
So this is year 2 of 4 years, right?
So we were delayed due to some issues that personnel things I don't really want to discuss in the open, but we had some staffing changes that set us back. And so we will be going live with our first phase in July. Technically a portion of the second phase, because we're going to do payroll, but there's another portion of phase 2 that needs to come later. Then we're going to probably go live with utility billing at the end of the calendar year. So we're working on all of this simultaneously. Then we have to do all of that. Then there's the Parks and Recreation module that is a third-party affiliate that ties into Tyler Tech. But then we also have a program that does all of your building permitting and all of your planning permitting and your project tracking. That's all much later.
Good, thank you.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Any other questions for Granicus? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Before I begin my remarks, I did want to ask a clarifying question. This is the system that we had the presenter who was talking about. It's like a very directional that the city can push out notifications to us, the residents, but it's not something that we can reply and respond back to. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
That was last council meeting.
Yes, okay. It feels like forever ago. I just wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about before I made my remarks, and I appreciate the clarification. And I also want to express my appreciation to all of you for pursuing these different technologies to help reach out to the residents. I did raise concerns at the previous council meeting about protecting the residents' personal private information, what's tied to these accounts. I just wanted to ensure that we're not going to, through like a secondary hack, like have our personal information exposed if Granicus was the victim of a cyber attack, for example. But I also wanted to emphasize the importance of being accessible. It's a privilege for me to be able to stand here today. It's a privilege of time. It's a privilege of accessibility to be able to come to the meetings in person. So I'm definitely in favor of anything that can help the citizens get more involved. And with that, again, I'm not necessarily speaking against this platform. However, I do want to try to see more accessibility from the city side for us to be able to communicate. As we all know from my personal experiences with all of you, sometimes emails get lost. And I'm hoping the city can try to develop or attain a tool that residents, for example, when they're submitting public comment or concerns about flooding in their streets, like any other issue, anything that they want to say to our council members and to our city, that they're able to not only have something reach them that's brought to their desk, but that's not going to get lost in spam or forgotten in the numerous emails that I received throughout the day. Those are my remarks. Again, I appreciate this endeavor and this approach. However, I did wanted to again raise the concern over personal information and also the concern over it being very directional. I like that people can subscribe to what's important to them, but I still feel like our city is missing a space to be able to for us to make a response to you and get a response back. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think Jax was asked that question last week, wasn't she, about the security of it?
She wasn't, that's what I was looking for in here, and she had mentioned what it was protected by, but I do know
I
that
don't
they
remember
are,
the language.
I don't remember it either. She had answered your question at the last meeting, but there are in a lot of governmental federal agencies and military installations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the agreement.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orth,
And Frank, I appreciate where you're coming from, but I do want to see this go. I like the idea of, the public getting more information. So I second.
second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
No,
and I vote yes. Moving on to 3-5. Was there a specific question about the fleet management agreement lease thing? Sorry.
No problem, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Worth?
Actually, I think the question, I saw that they're Durangos.
Mhm.
And that's good. We're gonna keep the same paint scheme? That's my question.
You made me get all the way. No, I'm
No,
just
I
kidding.
I didn't think you were gonna get up there. I thought the chief was gonna get up there, but he could answer right there. That's all I want to make sure. I love our paint scheme and I want to keep it. My 2 cents. I'm good.
Any other questions?
It's not really a paint scheme though, is it? It's
a
more,
wrap.
it's a sticker, ain't it?
It's all good. Same point.
Done by broadband.
Any,
good lease.
any other comments or questions from council?
No.
Any comments or questions from the public?
Thank you.
Seeing none, bring it back to council.
Motion to approve 3-5.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orth,
Second,
second by Councilmember Gornick. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
yes.
Councilmember Lyons,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. No public hearings. Moving on to new business, discussion and direction for 4-1, sorry, discussion and direction, vacant council seat, District B.
So I'm going to take this first before Nathan. So council currently has a vacant seat due to a council member resignation. That council member resigned because he no longer lives within the city district that he was elected to represent. So typically a council has two options to fill a vacancy. The first one is to call a special election, but that has to be combined with the next regularly scheduled general election. And we contacted the county elections office, and that date is March 5th, 2024. And that would be for a remainder of the council member's term, which is November 2024. And you would need to pay for that election in March and then again in November 2024. And the estimated cost we got from the county was $35,000 $35,000 each time. The other way that a city council can fill the vacant seat is to appoint a successor, and that successor, based on timing, would just serve the remainder of the former council member's term, which is up in November of 2024. But in working on this with city staff, we did find a resolution that not this council necessarily, but council previously adopted in 2019 that outlines the process of appointment. So I'll let Nathan talk about that.
Yeah, so resolution 2019-26 basically sets up whereas we'll fill our vacancies. So we'll publish on our website an invitation that council is accepting applications for council seat B. And the notice will specify the time period for which applications will be accepted. So, and we will not run it longer than 90 days. We do have 60 days to appoint somebody. So we have 2 meetings before the deadline. So I'm looking for council to give me direction on how long you want to leave the application process open. Do we want to, and once the applications are in, then according to our ordinance, the individuals that are interested will come to council in a study session. They will be given 10 minutes to introduce themselves and present and give their vision, I guess, is why they want to be on council. And then in the meeting following the study session is when council will vote and nominate somebody. And if they get the 3 head nods, and they'll be appointed to the council seat. So we can do that on 3/21, or we could wait and do it on the meeting on 4/4. So
But if you wait until 4/4, you need to do the presentations and you need to appoint that same day. They don't have to be 2 separate meetings, but you can do the process over your remaining 2 meetings, the second meeting in March and your first meeting in April.
sorry, according to our resolution, it happens the same night. Study
that's what we
session,
did
and then, and
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
it is the same night meeting.
Okay, I apologize. So you can either do it on March 21st or you can do it all on April 4th.
Is March 21st enough time?
Yes, that's 14 days. I mean, we'll get it out.
Just
We'll
rely on
post it in the paper.
Facebook. Can we put something in the paper or something? I mean,
Oh, yeah, we'll do a press release on this. It'll go to the papers.
You said Facebook. I thought.
No, it'll go out on all our social media platforms. It'll go out on our website. We will do a press release, so it'll go out to all the local newspapers. So yes, and yeah, you know what we found, our best way to communicate, people always see those road signs when we put them out by the high school and on Hanford Amona Road. So we'll probably even throw those out there for.
Yeah, that drove up your soccer registration.
Yeah.
Don't forget the north side of town over, don't forget us over there. We like
Hanford Amona
signs
Road,
too.
that's north.
When is the last time that the sign was on Hanford Amona Road? It's been a minute.
Has it?
Yeah.
It's true.
Well,
Okay, we won't forget the north side.
thank you. Appreciate it.
So does council have a preference whether we go on 3/21 or go on 4/4? Because we have to notice the deadline for applications.
My preference would be
3/21.
4/4.
I vote for 3/21.
Just
Do it
do
on one day.
that would
Yeah.
all- Yeah, that's.
Well,
okay.
We're gonna do it all in one day either way.
Yeah.
It'll
The
be-
ordinance reads, the ordinance reads that we'll do a.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ordinance reads that we do a study session.
Yeah.
And then that same night, regular meeting, council votes on the appointment.
Yeah.
So whether we do it, we're gonna do everything the same night, whether it be 3/21 or 4/4, unless
You know, I think it'd be, if we targeted the area, just talk to the mayor here, like on Hanford on Motor Road, the ad should be residents living in this area.
Yep.
You know, we
Yeah.
need you to step up. you know.
Yeah, District B,
Maybe we could flank District B with both the signs.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then switch them to this side and get it that way too.
You're gonna get the
same no matter
what.
I'll go with next meeting, 22nd,
21st.
21st.
Is that gonna give us enough time to get the word out? That's my concern,
Well,
is making sure that we have enough.
You got
time.
consensus. You had three head nods.
Mr. Reed, we'll open it up to public comment.
Way to go, man.
Oh, you're gonna forget us. Tom Ray, Barbara Lemoore. I would recommend a 4-4 date. When you try to do something that's just a couple of weeks off, that's a very short time. I think we need more like a month to really do something, and not in a hurry, but more slow and measured and correct. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Wisdom, huh?
Mr. Walker,
That's wisdom there.
why wasn't it wisdom when I said it?
I want to piggyback on the wisdom of Mr. Reed and Mayor Matthews on supporting the 4-4 date. And I did want to also ask, just for clarifying question for the public, you have to be a resident of District B, correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
And are there any other requirements to be on city council through the appointment process?
You gotta show up.
You have to be at least 18 years of age, I believe.
Registered voter.
Registered voter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At that
registered
address.
At that address, registered voter at that address, 18 years and older.
Citizen of the country.
Yeah. so it's-
And all those requirements will be posted on the
Okay.
media platforms and in the press release and on our website.
Perfect, thank you. Again, to piggyback off Mr. Reed and Miss Matthews, I support the 4-4 date because I think we want to give our residents time to also make sure that they are aware of it and be able to see it, because not everyone drives and sees those signs.
Sure.
But I also appreciate the appointment direction opposed to the special election as someone who ran student government elections at Fresno State. Those are pretty pricey too. But I do want to commend that giving the citizens a voice. And I also want to say that pushing it later will also give the public more chance to participate and have that voice, which is preserving the integrity of the appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public? Anyone online? No. I'll bring it back to council.
Thanks for that suggestion, Mayor. That was good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Gornick.
So it's just direction. It's not a vote. But it needs to be by consensus. So it needs to be at least 3. If it ends up 2-2, it will just default to an election.
To an election,
Oh,
to a special election.
Well, those are your only options. And if
Yeah.
you guys can't agree on a date to bring this back, you're going to miss the 60-day window.
What do you think, Frank?
all in
I
favor
think we
for
should go with the
4-4?
mayor's suggestion.
4-4, all in favor? You got
I'll go
2?
4-4.
You got 3.
You're holding out for 321?
Well, you got 3. You don't even need my vote.
We need,
All right.
what's your vote? Come on, what's your
Okay,
vote?
thank you.
I'm glad that you won it. We'll leave it there.
I didn't win anything. Okay, you have what you need,
Yes.
Mr. Olson? Okay, moving on to the city council reports and requests.
3-1.
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I met with the Commission on Aging and all is well there. Things are moving along just nicely. And I'd just like to thank the chief, the police department, all of our city employees. And we got a new fire chief these days. We've yet to see him here, have we? He hasn't
Not
showed
yet.
up yet. Maybe I'll go ask him to show his face. But that's all I've got for now.
thank you, sir. Councilmember Orth.
I met last week with CART and we had a very interesting meeting. We're moving forward on our CART headquarters in Hanford. We're trying to find some funding for these electric buses that are very, very expensive because they want electric buses, even though most of us want the hydrogen buses. That's a whole nother conversation. But had the opportunity to do that. It was a lot of work. I want to thank Frank, your guys and girls. I don't know if you have girls, but your guys, they do awesome job keeping the roads from flooded out. I was in Corcoran today and I don't know what they were doing. It hadn't rained there in a week, but most of the roads were flooded today, so I don't quite understand that, but so you guys do a great job. Police department, you guys do an awesome job. Fire, you guys do good too. Congratulations to the new chief. I'd like to meet him. Never met him, so it'd be kind of cool. All city staff, you guys work hard. You guys, no matter what people say out in the world, a lot of people don't understand. Government's a little bit different. You just can't give money away. So it's sad, but we work together, try to make everybody happy. And sometimes you don't make everybody happy. We try. But I'm really glad you guys got to go to that ICSC event. Hopefully that will be fruitful. So everyone be safe, be happy, and hope we don't get too much rain and cause any problems. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Gornick.
Yes, thanks to staff for all your work. I sit on also, as my other council members do, various committees. The one I sit on is the South Fork of the Kings Groundwater Sustainability Act Committee. And there's kind of a paradox going on. We got more water and snow than we can handle. But we have some real issues with our aquifer. And it's going to be a big issue for us, I think, in the next couple of years. And we need to really keep the relationships between the town and the farm and everybody else is going to be a little strained because of the 12 GSAs in the valley here, only 6 were approved by the Department of Water Resources. And we were one of the 6 that were not approved. And so we're basically on probation. And so we've got a lot of work to do to get off of probation with respect to looking at all kinds of alternatives, whether to meter pumps and to all kinds of things that are not pleasant. There'll be an election to raise some funds to sustain the groundwater program that in our area. So from time to time, and at the last meeting, we had the manager that we hired. We basically were operating as kind of a volunteer group. We actually went ahead and hired a director. Paul was here at the last meeting, introduced himself, very knowledgeable man about water issues, and I think he can guide us pretty well, but it's going to be so anyway, stay tuned. That's it.
Thank you, sir. I attended my first LAFCO meeting after being appointed as an alternate. Nothing really to report out of there. There was no KWRA meeting this month, so nothing to report there. As Mr. Olson had mentioned, I did attend the ICSC Monterey. I think we had the trifecta of the people that people want to talk to when they're there, so that worked out great. It was a productive conference for our city, so I think good things are going to come out of that. And like Nathan said, it was a smaller conference, a little more intimate, a lot more conversations could be had. It was a good conference. I also participated in Read Across America and read at Lemoore Elementary. I want to just put a shout out to the police department. They also read during Read Across America. So thank you guys for being involved in that. And I had a great time. The kids were amazing. The class that I had was amazing. They did have some questions for me. And when I gave them the answers to the questions, they didn't understand why. So I'm going to bring some requests from the kids from the class that I read to from Lemoore Elementary. One of the questions was if I had a limo. When I informed them that I didn't have a limo, they didn't understand why I didn't have a limo. They thought I should. So I just thought I'd bring that request to council. So
You didn't tell me you had a more.
do with it. I didn't. I probably should have. Might have got points for that. So do with that what you will. I'm open to receive a limo if that's what you should choose. Another question, do I have bodyguards? When I informed them that I didn't, they really thought that I should. They thought that they might be hiding in, the aisles of the library. I assured them nobody was there. So per their request, they're requesting that I have bodyguards. So I'm just throwing that out there. They asked if I was rich. So but I didn't ask what that meant. So when they were talking about my age, $10 could be rich to them. I'm not sure because they thought I was 14 at first, which I'll take. But, I didn't get clarification on that, but, also per their request. They also asked me to hit the gritty, which I don't know if any of you know what that is, but I had to look it up, hit the gritty. I was a little scared at first. I thought it was maybe something inappropriate, but apparently it's just a dance. I did let the gentleman know that I have white-itis. It's a condition called white-itis, and I don't have rhythm. So, but I'm going to learn it. So I will learn this so I can hit the gritty with little Zach.
When will you learn it by?
I'm not going to commit to a time because as I agreed, as I mentioned, I have a condition.
4-4
Or I will try. I will try.
or 321, whichever you prefer.
Okay. I will. You can learn with me. We can do it together. Also, as I was leaving, I was asked who was picking me up. I'm not sure if that was, they thought my parent was picking me up or they thought I should have a driver pick me up. So that's also a request from them that I get picked up from things. I don't know what that would look like, but I'm just putting it out there. So, well, but maybe it doesn't have to be a limo. Maybe it can be a Toyota Corolla. I'm just saying.
No.
So, they were super fun. Super excited. I can't wait to go back for anything they invite me to. So, it was a good time. I also attended the Lemoore Little League opening ceremony and throughout a tandem first pitch, actually with the chief over there. He got to throw to his son, which was kind of cool. And I got to throw to Mr. Elias, which caught my pitch no matter how horrible it was. So thank you, Mr. Elias. That was a nice event. Also attended the indoor soccer games at the rec department, which were super fun to watch. If you haven't checked them out, go out and check them out. Let's see. Coming up is the South San Joaquin Valley District membership meeting this Thursday in Bakersfield. I will also be attending the ceremony board meeting this next coming week. They invited me to the last one, but I missed that one due to a previous engagement. Downtown Roundtable is coming up on the 14th. And so there's a KCAO board meeting on the 15th, and former council member Cheney was on that board. And I don't know if there's somebody that would want to take that spot for this meeting until we get someone else on board.
Who's the alternate?
That I don't know because
Which board? The
KCAO.
So KCAO bylaws, they do not have an alternate. So on the paper, I'm actually listed, but they don't allow alternates. So you have a primary and that's it. If the primary is not there, you don't participate. So
Have fun at KCAO.
I reached out to Jeff and let him know that we would be appointing somebody after we sit a new council member. That's something staff's going to bring back to council. So we'll just look at everybody's appointments. And then previously you had said, let's just leave them all the same. So we can just appoint the vacated seat over, or just see if you want to give them to the newly hired. If it fits their schedule, we can run the whole gamut. So I'll reach out to you at a later date.
So nobody will be attending the 15th. Okay. And the food distribution at West Hills with West Hills, KCAO and CalFresh will be. I thought I wrote the date down. Sorry. It is March 20th. At 8 a.m. At West Hills. And that was all I have. So with that.
We're going into closed session.
Just interrupt you real quick. This week and beginning on the 10th, we have the state junior college playoffs at our famous Golden Eagle Arena. So if you're interested, that would be a good place to be. Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to be moving into closed session. Item 1, Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiator, agency designated representatives, Mary Lerner, City Attorney, and Michelle Spear, Assistant City Manager. Employee Organizations, General Association of Service Employees, Lemoore Police Officers Association, Lemoore Police Sergeants Unit, Police Professional Services Bargaining Unit, and unrepresented. So we will move into closed session.